Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. We have started with the neuroanatomy lecture. In the last video we have covered the spinal cord, and in this video we will see the medulla oblongata. It's an important topic for you. It may be asked as only the external features of medulla oblongata or along with the internal structure of the medulla oblongata. In this video, I have introduced the quiz in the middle. So go through the entire video, answer the quiz, assess your learning. Those who are not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe now. Keep watching the videos. Now we will move on to the topic medulla oblongata. Before we start with the details of the medulla oblongata, now you have the quiz. What are the parts of the brainstem? How many cerebellar peduncles are present? What are they? So you have to answer these questions. So then only you can proceed with the medulla oblongata topic. Then you will be in a place to learn the medulla oblongata. Answer this quiz, then move on to the next slide. So have you answered the quiz? Now we will see the brainstem in detail. Brainstem extends from the cranial end of the spinal cord to the caudal part of the diencephalon. It includes medulla oblongata, pons and midbrain. So you know it contains all the tracts, both ascending and descending, and all the nuclei. So they are connected to the cerebellum by three cerebellar peduncles. Superior cerebellar peduncle connects the midbrain with the cerebellum. Pons is connected with the cerebellum by the middle cerebellar peduncle. And medulla oblongata is connected with the cerebellum by the inferior cerebellar peduncle. So I think now I have answered the quiz. Three cerebellar peduncles. Before we start with the structure of the brainstem, you should know first the basic plan of the neural tube. So it has what are the layers and what are the plates in this neural tubes. Then you can understand how the nuclei and the tracts are present in this brainstem. So to refresh our knowledge of the neural tube, I will again explain it contains the marginal layer, outer marginal layer, middle mantle layer and the inner ependymal layer. So it will have the roof plate and the floor plate. This mantle layer is again divided into alar plate and basal plate by the sulcus limitans. This basal plate contains the motor nuclei and the alar plate contains the sensory nuclei. So if you know this only, you can understand how these nuclei are present in this neural tube. So now we will see the details of the medulla oblongata. If you see the structure of the brainstem, this caudal part of the medulla oblongata, and the midbrain retain the primitive form. So it is like a tube-like form. But if you see the cranial part of the medulla oblongata and the pons, it is not like tube-like because this lateral wall of the neural tube has spread out due to the pontine flexure. So that you have to understand this where this tube appearance is present and where they are not present. I have clarified. So first we will see the introduction, shape, size, parts of the medulla oblongata. It forms the lowest part of the brainstem. It is almost vertically present in the posterior cranial fossa, between the clivus in front and the vallicula of the cerebellum behind. So that is the introduction to the brainstem. Introduction to the medulla oblongata. Now we will see the extent of the medulla oblongata. It extends from the just above the first pair of the cervical nerves to the lower border of the pons. Now we will see the shape and size of the medulla oblongata. It is pyramidal in shape. Size, it is 3 cm in length, 2 cm in breadth and 1.25 cm in thickness. So before we move on to the details of the medulla oblongata, you have the quiz. What are the parts of the medulla oblongata? Do you know the parts of medulla oblongata? So you just watch the video carefully and understand the topic so that you will understand the parts of the medulla oblongata. So what are the parts of medulla? Now I will explain. The central canal of the spinal cord, you have learnt in the spinal cord there is a central canal. It is extending into the lower half of the medulla, then opens into the cavity of fourth ventricle. So now you should have understood it has two parts. The caudal part is the closed part and the rostral part is the open part. So these are the two parts of the medulla oblongata. Now this is the dorsal surface of the brainstem. So how we can see, this is the superior colliculi and these are the inferior colliculi. And now you can appreciate in this and understand this is the lower caudal closed part of medulla oblongata and this is the upper open part of the medulla oblongata. This is the dorsal surface of the pons. So dorsal surface of medulla oblongata in the lower part is closed and upper part is open. That's why we told there are two parts of the medulla oblongata. Now we will start with the external features. Then after seeing the external features of the medulla oblongata, we will move to the internal structure of the medulla oblongata. So you just see the video completely so that you will have the post test in the last. External features, you should know it is the continuation of the spinal cord. So it retains the external features same as the spinal cord in the caudal part of the medulla oblongata. Same like spinal cord, it is divided into right and left by two anterior median fissure and posterior median sulcus, which you have learnt in the spinal cord. Now we will see the anterior median fissure in detail. It is a deep vertical cleft which is continuous with the anterior median fissure of the spinal cord. This ends at the lower border of the pons as the foramen cecum. So now you should refresh, so many places we had foramen cecum. Can you recollect where are the foramen cecum you have learnt, so that now we will understand that this foramen cecum is not only present in the medulla oblongata. This lower part of the anterior median fissure is interrupted by the pyramidal decussation. We will learn in detail what is pyramidal decussation. So this is the anterior median fissure. Okay. So if you see in the upper part there is a foramen. So this foramen is the foramen cecum. Anterior median fissure ends in the lower border of the pons. So this is the lower border of the pons. So there is a foramen cecum. The fissure is interrupted in the lower part by the decussation of the pyramids. So pyramidal decussation is present in the lower part of the anterior median fissure. Now in this you will appreciate the posterior median sulcus. It is a faint groove, same like in the spinal cord. It is only present in the closed part of the medulla oblongata. We can't see this groove in the open part of the medulla oblongata. So this is the pontomedullary junction. So this posterior median sulcus is only present in the lower closed part of the medulla oblongata. Now we will learn the other sulci of the medulla oblongata. Same like as in spinal cord, we have two more sulci, anterolateral and posterolateral sulci, which are the direct upward continuations of the corresponding sulci of the spinal cord. So we have learnt all that same as the spinal cord in the caudal part of the medulla oblongata. So now we have seen this is the anterior median fissure and this is the anterolateral sulcus on either side. So anterolateral sulcus, along which emerges the rootlets of hypoglossal nerve. So here like this, the hypoglossal nerve is coming on both sides. So when I tell this hypoglossal nerve coming on from the anterolateral sulcus, I should explain this origin of the cranial nerve nuclei, or not only hypoglossal, all the 12 pairs arise from the base of the brain like this. So this origin from the base of the brain will be called as the superficial origin. Where it takes the origin from the nuclei will be called as the deep origin. So when you are asked any cranial nerves, you have to write deep origin and superficial origin. Now we will see the posterolateral sulcus. Posterolateral sulcus, from this sulcus, the rootlets of glossopharyngeal, vagus and cranial accessory. 9th, 10th, 11th cranial nerves take this origin from the superficial origin from the posterolateral sulcus. Now we will see the region. So we have learnt the sulci. Same like the spinal cord. Here also, because of this so many sulci, now this medulla oblongata is divided into regions. So first by two sulci, anterior and posterior median, it will be divided into half. Now each half will be again divided into anterior, posterior and lateral areas. So now before we go to the regions of the medulla oblongata, there is a question for you. What are pyramids of the medulla? Do you know what are pyramids of the medulla? Just learn the pyramids of the medulla in the next slide. Now we will learn the anterior area of the medulla. It will be called as pyramids. So now I have answered for the question. It is the bulging between the anterior median fissure and the anterolateral sulcus. So what are pyramids? What does it contain? We will now see. Pyramids. What are pyramids? Its upper end, if you see, it is slightly constricted and its lower end is broader than the upper end. So between it and the pons, between the pyramids and the lower border of pons, the superficial origin of abducens nerve. So now we have completed in the medulla oblongata 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th cranial nerves superficial origin. Now at the pontomedullary junction between the lower border of the pons and pyramids, the superficial origin of abducens nerve. So now you can see this is the cerebellum on both sides. This is the ventral surface of the pons and this is the ventral surface of the medulla oblongata. Now we are seeing this is the anterior median fissure and this is the foramen caecum. Now these are the pyramids. These are the pyramids on both sides. So between the pyramids and the lower border of the pons, we have this nerve. This nerve is called as the abducens nerve or the 6th cranial nerve. That is the superficial origin of the abducens nerve. What does this pyramids contain? Pyramid contains all these fibers. So you have to know corticobulbar, corticopontine and corticospinal. So they are all arising from cerebral cortex to the spinal cord, to the pontine nuclei and to the bulbar. So what is pyramidal decussation? About 75% of the pyramidal fibers cross to the opposite side in the lower part of the medulla. That is called as the pyramidal decussation. Now you can appreciate in this picture the pyramidal decussation. So this red color is the pyramidal fibers. They are running in the midbrain, ventral surface of the pons, carrying all those fibers runs in the pyramids. So they decussate in the lower part of the anterior median fissure like this. So that this is called as the pyramidal decussation. So now we will see the lateral area. Anterior area is called as the pyramid, lateral area is called as the olive because it contains the inferior olivary nucleus. We have two olivary nucleus, superior and inferior. In the medulla oblongata we have the inferior olivary nucleus. They are oval elevations present just posterolateral to the pyramids. It's 1.25 centimeter in length. So between the olive and the lower border of the pons, the facial nerve roots are attached. So just before that we have seen the abducens nerve, 6th cranial nerve. Now the 7th cranial nerve is attached between the olive and the lower border of the pons. Which cranial nerve is attached at the junction of lower border of the pons and the olive? So if you have seen the video carefully, now you should be able to answer this question so that you can assess your learning. So here this is again the ventral surface of the ventral surface of the pons, and this is the ventral surface of the medulla oblongata. We have the pyramids, we have the olive. So this is the lower border of the pons. So here between the olive and again you are seeing the ventral surface of the pons and ventral surface of medulla. This is the anterior median fissure, anterolateral sulcus. So this is the pyramid, and this is the olive. So between the pyramid and pons, abduction nerve, between the olive and the pons, two roots of facial nerve. Motor root of facial nerve is medial, we have to remember M and M, and the lateral root is the very small sensory root. It will be called as the nervus intermedius, that will be lateral. So these are the two roots of the facial nerve. These are the two roots of the facial nerve taking attachment at the junction of the olive and the lower part of the pons. This will be called as the superficial origin of the facial nerve. So the facial nerve is an important cranial nerve. You have to learn. It may be asked as essay for you. You have to know the deep origin and the superficial origin of the facial nerve. Now we have completed the anterior areas, lateral areas. Now we will see the posterior area of the medulla. It is in between the posterolateral and posteromedian sulci. It has two parts, infrolateral and supromedial zones. So now we will first see the infrolateral, then we will see the supromedial zones. So infrolateral lower part and upper part we will see. Infrolateral lower part from medial to lateral, they are the fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. So now you can see in this infrolateral lower part, so we are having this is the fasciculus gracilis. So on both sides fasciculus gracilis, then will be the fasciculus cuneatus. If you see in the upper part, they end as the tubercle, gracile tubercle and cuneate tubercle. So we have finished the infrolateral lower part. Now infrolateral upper part, we will see infrolateral upper part. They attach the medulla with the cerebellum. So this is the infrolateral upper part. Now we are seeing on both sides, they are the infrolateral upper part. So they are the connections between the medulla and the cerebellum, which is removed here. So that will be called as the inferior cerebellar peduncles. They form the, if you see what we are seeing here, the open part of medulla and the dorsal surface of the pons, this all together will form the floor of fourth ventricle. So in this inferior cerebellar peduncle form the lower part of the lateral boundaries of the fourth ventricle. Now we have completed the infrolateral lower part. Now we are seeing the supromedial zone, that is the open part of the medulla. What are the features? So otherwise total together this is the floor of fourth ventricle. Now here we are going to see the floor of the lower part of the fourth ventricle. So that's the caudal part of the floor of the fourth ventricle. So you observe this carefully so that if you know this, you can write the floor of fourth ventricle. Limited above by the medullary striae. So now this is the medullary striae, that is the pontomedullary junction. Divided into two halves by the median sulcus. So this is the median sulcus which is dividing this part into two halves. Sulcus limitans divides each half into medial and lateral areas. Now this is the sulcus limitans. Medial half is called the hypoglossal triangle. So this is the medial half which contains the hypoglossal nuclei. So you have to observe this so that when you see the transverse section in the coming part of the lecture, now you have to understand where is this hypoglossal nuclei is present. Lateral half contains the vestibular area. So this is the lateral half. Now inferior fovea is present in the sulcus limitans. Caudal to the fovea, vagal triangle is present, which will contain the dorsal nucleus of vagus. So these are the open part features that is forming the supromedial zone posterior part. I think now we have covered three areas: anterior area, lateral area. Anterior area is the pyramid, lateral area is the olive. Posterior area we had two parts, that is the posterolateral part and supromedial part. So now we have completed this external features. We can move on to the internal structure of the spine, medulla oblongata. Before we move on to the internal structure, you have a question. Where is hypoglossal triangle situated? So that you can assess yourself. Now we have started with the internal structure of the medulla oblongata. Your questions may be external features separately, internal structure of medulla oblongata separately, or together as an essay. So you have to see the question and answer appropriately. Internal structure of medulla oblongata, we have to see under three levels: transverse sections at the level of decussation of pyramid, at the level of sensory decussation, at the level of olive or the open part. So now we have to understand these two parts are the closed parts and only one open part we have, that is at the level of olive. So we have learnt pyramids, so they decussate, that is called pyramidal decussation. We will learn what is sensory decussation also. So you have to note that which level of this internal structure is asked. Sometimes they may be asked as 5 marks question for you. Draw a neat labeled diagram of transverse section of medulla oblongata at any of these levels you may be asked. You have to see which level is asked correctly and answer appropriately. Now we will start with the first level, transverse section at the level of pyramidal decussation. So this level we are taking at the level of the lower half of the medulla. So here we have the two nucleus, gracilis and cuneus. So if you see this level, it will be same like the spinal cord. So if you have learned spinal cord in detail sections, then you can understand this lower part of the spinal medulla oblongata will be having the same features like nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus in the posterior gray column. This apex of the posterior horn will have the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve also, which is in continuation with the spinal cord. So this level, pyramidal decussation level, so we have learned pyramidal tract fibers. So they extend backwards to reach the lateral white column of opposite side of the spinal cord, so that as the lateral corticospinal tract. So this is that level diagram you can appreciate. So this is the ventral side, this is ventral side and this is dorsal side. So this is nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. So this is the pyramid. So from the pyramid, this pyramidal fibers passes backwards, so that they will form the lateral corticospinal tract. So that will be situated here in this part, in the spinal cord, lateral corticospinal tract. If you see this decussation, they separate this head of the anterior gray column from the base. So this is the base of gray column, anterior gray column. So that is separated by this decussation. This base is retained, having its retained attachment with the ventral aspect of the central canal. So this detached anterior horn, if you see, it has the spinal nucleus of accessory nerve. So you have learned this spinal accessory nerve supplies the trapezius and sternocleidomastoid. So that contains the spinal nucleus of accessory nerve. And also supraspinal nucleus of first cervical nerve. This first cervical nerve is having one more nucleus in the medulla, that is called supraspinal nucleus of first cervical nerve. So this is the same diagrammatic representation. So you have, this is the nucleus gracilis and this is nucleus cuneatus. This is fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus, and this is the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. So this trigeminal will have a long nucleus extending from the spinal cord to the midbrain. So when you learn the cranial nerves, you should learn carefully. Some cranial nerves have many nuclei, and sometimes one nuclei may give rise to many cranial nerves. So this diagram, this is the pyramid. So they have the pyramidal decussation like this. So they detach this anterior gray column from the base of the anterior gray column. So this contains what are the nuclei we have just now learned. Now we will start the next level, transverse section at the level of sensory decussation. So that pyramidal decussation is the motor decussation, but we don't tell it as motor. Now this is sensory decussation. So what are the fibers taking part from this is from the fibers from the nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. So they will take part in this. So from the nucleus gracilis, so this is the nucleus gracilis and this is the nucleus cuneatus. So that fibers form this. So the fibers from this nucleus will be called as the internal arcuate fibers. They course forward. So we have learned this is ventral and this is dorsal and this is ventral. So this coursing is forward and centrally around the gray matter. So this is the pyramid. So this is the sensory decussation. So now we have to see in this picture both decussations are given. So this is the pyramid, red color is the pyramid. So this decussation is at the lower part of the medulla oblongata to continue as the lateral corticospinal tract in the spinal cord. This blue color is the sensory decussation from the nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus, slightly upper part of medulla. So they will continue as the medial lemniscus on the opposite side. So you have a quiz now. TS at the level of sensory decussation. What are internal arcuate fibers? So still just now you have learnt. So you recollect what are internal arcuate fibers. So this transverse section, internal arcuate fibers, if you see the picture you can understand, they cut off this spinal nucleus of trigeminal from the central gray matter. The central gray matter contains 3 nuclei. So we have learnt in that floor of the fourth ventricle, these nuclei are present. These triangle are present, hypoglossal triangle, dorsal nucleus of vagus. So they contain the hypoglossal nucleus and dorsal nucleus of vagus. And also one more nucleus is present in the central gray matter, that is the nucleus of tractus solitarius, that is concerned with the taste sensation. So this is the picture again, sensory decussation. So this is nucleus gracilis fibers and nucleus cuneatus. So they decussate and form, this is the medial lemniscus. So when they decussate, they cut off this spinal nucleus and the tract of the spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve. If this central gray matter is detached, so in the previous decussation, anterior gray horn is detached. Now in this decussation, central gray matter is detached, which contains 3 nucleus, hypoglossal nucleus, dorsal nucleus of vagus and nucleus of tractus solitarius. So we have covered still now the 2 levels. The last level is at the level of olive. This is the open part of medulla. The question may be at the level of olive or at the open part of medulla. Both are same. So here there is no central gray matter. It is spread over the floor of fourth ventricle. So contains 3 nuclei, hypoglossal nuclei, dorsal nucleus of vagus and vestibular nuclei. Nucleus of tractus solitarius, which we saw in the previous section, lies ventral to the vestibular nuclei. Now nucleus ambiguous is added here in this level. So here this nucleus ambiguous is what is? It is giving origin to the 9th, 10th, 11th cranial nerves. So 10th cranial nerve we have learnt already one nucleus, dorsal nucleus of vagus. So this is another nucleus. So this is the nucleus for cranial accessory. Spinal accessory we have learnt in the level of pyramidal decussation. So this is the picture. So you should differentiate this diagram with the previous diagram. It is not having a central canal. Instead, it is spread over the floor of the fourth ventricle. If you see the nucleus here, so this is the in this floor we have the red nucleus. This is the hypoglossal nucleus. Next is this dorsal nucleus of vagus, and this is the vestibular nucleus. So this is the vestibular nucleus. And this nucleus of tractus solitarius is ventral to the vestibular nucleus. And this is the nucleus ambiguous. So now we have seen the structures in the floor of this ventricle. Now on either side in this middle, what we are seeing from ventral to dorsal. This is the arcuate nuclei. This is the pyramid. So this is the medial lemniscus. This is tectospinal tract, and this is the medial longitudinal fasciculus in order from ventral to dorsal. Intermediate zone you have to see. Now we have completed the floor of this ventricle. In the middle zone we have completed. Now we are having the intermediate zone. In the intermediate zone we have this inferior olivary nucleus. So this is the inferior olivary nucleus. When I tell inferior olivary nucleus, you should know that we are having the superior olivary nucleus also at the some part of the brainstem we have to learn. So this have two accessory olivary nucleus also, that is this two accessory, dorsal accessory and inferior, this is inferior olivary, and this is medial accessory. So there are two accessory olivary nucleus also. And in the intermediate part we have the dorsal nucleus of vagus also. So this is the dorsal nucleus of vagus we have learnt. So this inferior olivary nucleus may be asked as short notes for you. You have to write where it is present, appearance, connections also. I am not telling the connections in this video. You have to learn the connections separately of this nucleus also. So it is resembling a crumbled bag-like appearance. So that is the peculiarity of this inferior olivary nucleus. Close to the main nucleus, we have just now learned we have accessory olivary nucleus also. So now we have completed this central part, intermediate part. Now we are seeing what are present in the lateralmost part of this. We have the inferior cerebellar peduncle, cochlear nuclei, ventral and dorsal cochlear nuclei, vestibular nuclei. So that is again next to that vestibular nuclei. And we have learnt nucleus ambiguous also. So these are the structures in the lateralmost part. So this we have completed the three levels of transverse section of the medulla. So now we will move on to the applied anatomy. What is lateral medullary syndrome? Otherwise this artery is affected, posterior inferior cerebellar artery. If you have learnt the arterial supply of medulla oblongata, this is one of the artery. So this is the Wallenberg syndrome. So if you see one side of the face, for example right side, pain and temperature is last. And that in the body, pain and temperature on the contralateral side of the body is affected. So now you should tell what are the tracts and what cranial nerve nuclei is affected in this syndrome, so that you will be able to correlate clinically. So if any patient comes to you with this symptoms, you should be able to identify which level of medulla oblongata is affected, so that what tract and what cranial nerve nuclei adjacent is affected. So I will not tell what are affected in this lateral and medial medullary syndrome. I just give you the thought-provoking syndrome so that you search and learn, and you just ponder over how will you diagnose when any patient comes to you with these syndromes. So medial medullary syndrome, here tongue is having the same side lower motor neuron paralysis, and opposite side lower motor neuron paralysis of the body. So that is called as median medullary syndrome. So what nerve is supplying the tongue? Hypoglossal nerve. So that is then what is affected in this? Pyramid and hypoglossal. So that is called medial medullary. So I have given one answer, medial medullary. Same like that, you look over the lateral medullary syndrome also. So we have covered in detail this in this video medulla oblongata, external features and internal structure of the medulla oblongata. So you have to go through, this is the ventral surface and this is the dorsal surface. I hope you should have understood this topic clearly. Now post test for you. Still now if you have followed the video, you should be able to answer what is lateral medullary syndrome. Where is olivary nucleus situated? What level of medulla? What is supraspinal nucleus of first cervical nerve? Where it is situated? At what level? What is nucleus ambiguous? Where it is situated? What does it give rise to? So these are so many levels we have learned. So you should assess yourself all these questions so that you will be able to understand. I hope you have followed the video carefully and you have answered the post-test quiz. So we have completed the medulla oblongata. We will continue with the pons in the next video. Those who are not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe now. Keep watching the videos so that you will have the everyday updates of the histology, embryology, neuroanatomy videos. Thank you.